Howdy folks, and welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another episode of our, let's say, UK democratic beacon of democracy against the fascist world. So War with the Axis has finally broke out in the last episode, which caught me totally by surprise, even though I must say that the Italian AI was equally unprepared for this declaration of war, because especially there in Syria, the Italians left two provinces along the eastern Mediterranean Sea completely unguarded, and I decided to take my opportunity, try my best luck to launch an unplanned offensive into Syria to reach the river, which I think was the I don't know, one of the two rivers of Mesopotamia, I think. And yeah, I mean the offensive began pretty well, even though I had no battle planning bonus. I managed to encircle and destroy some Italian troops, but in the end I had to stop because I just didn't have enough troops to carry on the offensive into Syria and Turkey. Amazingly, and I say it again, amazingly and surprisingly, the Royal Navy kicked the shit out of the Italian Royal Navy by sinking carriers, battleships, destroyers, cruisers, convoys, and oh my god, it was really one of the most resounding successes I've ever recorded on Hearts of Iron 4 when playing with the UK. And apparently it seems that by combining these large fleets of a mixture of destroyers, battleships, carriers, it was really enough to gain a quick and easy naval supremacy over the Mediterranean Sea. And so while things settled down in the Middle East, the offensive in Ethiopia, West Africa and North Africa kept going up and running. Luckily for me, let's say what saved my day was the presence of these 12 reserve divisions in Egypt, which were quickly moved into the Middle East to provide some additional numbers of troops along the main front line. The quick conclusion of the offensive into West Africa also allowed me to liberate part of my troops, which in the end, part of my troops, I mean two entire armies, which in the end were coordinated in launching a joint offensive into the last Italian breachhead in West Africa. The capitulation of Ethiopia and the conclusion of the offensive in East Africa again allowed me to redeploy troops towards the Middle East and towards the North African theater. The North African theater was by far the most interesting one because just like in real life, I launched my offensive deep into Italian Libya, and I was almost there, about to reach Tripoli, when the usual lack of supplies hit me pretty bad and pretty hard, and I even risked of getting 4 of my divisions encircled and wiped out, but luckily I managed to micromanage the whole frontline, let's say, development, and I avoided the catastrophe. And yes, also I didn't say it at the beginning, but you might have seen that before recording this episode, I've put into training 48 more divisions, infantry divisions, and a few more armored divisions, because I was like, if the US joined the war, I have literally nothing defending the Canadian border. And so I was like, okay, fine, let's just put some extra troops into training. And while this was occurring, I also built 2 additional ports in Libya, because I was like, okay, cool, then I want to have my troops supplied by sea. And the problem was that the first port was way too far behind the actual front line, and this was really a big mistake from my side, and I felt incredibly frustrated by it because I just had to wait until the second port, which was now way closer to Tripoli, would have arrived and would have allowed me to supply my troops along the main front line. And finally, that second port actually arrived, and with it the supplies kept flowing, and this allowed me once again to resume the offensive in North Africa. I noticed that the Germans launched the first Operation Sealion in East Anglia, and yeah, again, having focused heavily on the Mediterranean, I left all of my, let's say, national waters completely unguarded. And yeah, this most likely was the reason why the Jerrys could land in East Anglia and yeah, try to conquer, let's say, my island with, I think that they only had 3 infantry divisions, which was like, I mean, a bit suspicious, but also interesting, because this maybe was the proof that the Germans simply didn't have enough troops to fight both in the Middle East, in North Africa, on the Eastern Front, and also to land in England, and as well defend Western occupied Europe. And once again, when I passed, when I left Libya and I entered Tunisia, my troops were being afflicted again by supply issues. And while I was struggling to build depots, expand railways, and build ports, I even decided to plan the invasion of Sicily. Because I was like, I mean, the war in Africa is almost over. Since I have the troops ready, why not already hit the Axis soft underbelly, or what I believed was the Axis soft underbelly. And so yeah, here I was just assigning generals to my troops, and yeah, I decided to bring Moorhead along the Canadian-American border, you know, just to be on the safe side. And this again, another mistake from my side, I'd say, happened, because by moving all of my troops away from England, I realized too late that the Jerrys launched the second phase of Operation Sealion. And to make things even more interesting, even now even Japan joined the war on the Axis side. And again, I was quite scared by the whole development of the situation. And then I said, okay, fine. If Japan wants war, let Japan have war. And I again assigned the 3, let's say, mixed carrier battleships task forces in the Far East to deal with the Japanese threat, while the remaining carriers and battleships were kept in the Mediterranean to provide naval supremacy for the invasion of Sicily. Even though I realized too late that I also needed some superiority in the Tyrrhenian Sea. Now, interestingly, I've sunk again the shit out of the Japanese fleet in the Mediterranean. Why was there a Japanese fleet in the Mediterranean? I honestly have no idea. I have no clue about that. But still, the sinking of the Japanese capital ships gave me a small window of opportunity through which launch Operation Husky, the let's say imperial invasion of Sicily. And if the invasion of Sicily turned out to be pretty easy and straightforward, the same cannot be said about the push into Italy, because while I tried to cross the Sicilian Strait into Reggio Calabria, yeah, there were just too many. The Italians had too many troops. The front line width was too small, and yeah, I thought that, yeah, cool, I have green air, I have close air support, I can smash the way into Rome. But then I was like, no, it will never happen. And so I said, okay, fine, I need to launch a second invasion behind the Calabrian edge of the peninsula. And yeah, I mean, in the meantime, as you might have seen, I have kicked the Jerrys out of Britain, and I've even surrounded and destroyed some more Italian troops in western Tunisia. And once again, the mighty Royal Navy was busy sinking left and right the Japanese Imperial fleet, thereby assuring a complete dominance of the Far Eastern Seas. Yeah, to dominate the Far Eastern Seas, basically. And with the let's say invasion of Calabria, I once again managed to surround and just surround for the moment plenty of Italian troops. But again, I realized too late that I didn't have the technology for the Mulberry harbors because yeah, I realized again too late that my troops were landing and they were not being supplied. So I said, okay, fine, let's just wipe out the remnants of the Italians trapped in Calabria, which was a real nut to crack, because I think because of the terrain, the Italians simply didn't give up, and when everything was, let's say, going so smooth and I could see victory ahead, Brown Portugal joined the Axis, and it reopened again the African front. And again, I was like, oh my freaking god, why? Anyway, with the clearance of the Italians and then the Germans from Morocco, I redeployed my Blue Army in Africa again to basically kick out the Portuguese and the Italians for a second time from Africa. And yeah, that's it, folks, for this episode. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. I wish you the best, and stay tuned until the next episode.